All right, the first question was, what's the most important lesson you've learned over your life?
Well, when me and my wife, we obeyed the gospel, and we was baptized, and then we didn't have no baptistry when we was going to church there, so we had to go over to Laurel Avenue to be baptized, and that was about the best thing, the best important thing we ever did.
Good. How did you meet Grandma, and how did you propose?
Well, her and Doris went to school together, and she introduced me to Jesse, and then we just had a simple proposal, and I just asked her a simple question, and she didn't hesitate. She said yes right quick, so I thought she was happy, and she was happy to marry me.
Didn't y'all go just to the courthouse and got married?
Yeah. No, we went to Little Bridge Baptist Church, and Preacher Hughes married us.
Yeah, pretty quickly after you proposed?
Huh?
Was it really quick after you proposed?
Yeah.
Right after?
Yeah.
What types of things did you do as a kid that the kids of our generation don't do anymore?
Well, I did a couple things. I was only 5 years old, and Daddy used to cultivate corn with a riding 2-horse cultivator. And I had me a tricycle tar, and I would roll that tricycle tar up and down them roads. I was helping Daddy to cultivate. So one day I was out there, and I must have got tired, and I went to sleep. And Daddy thought I had gone to the house, and he kept on cultivating, and then all of a sudden he was cultivating, and Minnie, his horse, stopped, and he didn't know what in the world she stopped, you know. He got out, and that was me laying in front of Minnie. She stopped, and I was laying there. I done went fast asleep with my tricycle tar. But Daddy didn't never let me do no more cultivating. He let me ride on the cultivator with him, but he wouldn't let me roll my tar up and down no more.
Okay. What's the most important lesson that your parents taught you growing up?
Well, Daddy, he taught me to always be honest. And Daddy was a truck farmer, and he gave half of what he raised to Vernon Ship. He owned the farm. And whenever we would gather corn or anything, half went to Vernon and half went to Daddy. And when we would gather corn, we would have a double horse wagon, and Daddy would always make sure I'd fill it up level, and he wanted to be honest about it
and be fair.
And of course, you know, when the war was going on, they had a bunch of German prisoners down there at Lynn Haven, and Daddy and a lot of the farmers would go down and get them German prisoners to gather the corn. And we had a couple that helped me, because Teeny had went to the war, and he would go help me to unload the corn, a couple of the German prisoners.
Wow, that's crazy. All right. What's your favorite thing about being a grandparent and great-grandparent?
I like to watch them grow up, and like to give them something for their birthday. And, just seeing them is good for me.
What's your favorite thing about your garden and growing your vegetables?
Well, I always enjoyed giving stuff to my neighbors and giving stuff to my church family, and I enjoyed eating it. And I saved money on my grocery bill uh, 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 when I was growing it. And God always blessed me with a right good garden.
You have a big garden. You always have. And you always say you're downsizing and it never gets any smaller. It stays the same size every year. What are your favorite hobbies or your favorite things that brought you joy in your life?
Well, I like to bowl and I like to play softball.
Did you like watching softball
Yeah,
and baseball?
yeah. I like watching the sports, football, baseball.
Yeah. And what about splitting firewood? Is that a hobby?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite story or memory from the war?
Yeah, I got a couple things that happened that I've always remembered. It when I first went to the army, I had been in there for about 2 weeks, and they had one of us as an acting sergeant, and his job was to wake up all the men for reveille and to get men to clean the latrine. But it had been about 2 weeks, and a couple of the guys come to me and another guy, and they said, you know, he's got us for 2 weeks. We have to go clean the latrine for 2 weeks, and would y'all go and tell him we got to give us a break? Well, the other guy, he didn't want to get involved, so I said, well, yeah, I'll do it. So I went and I caught him by himself one evening, and I told him, I said, you know, 3 of the boys that I named the names, I don't forgot the name now, but I told him that he had got them for 2 weeks, and they were wondering if he would just, you know, give them a break. Oh, you a wise guy. You go down and you clean that latrine. I said, yeah, I'll go take my turn.
Yeah.
So for 3 mornings, he come by my bed, you know, when he come to wake us up, he hit my foot. The second morning, he done the same thing. The third morning, he done the same thing. And it seemed to me like he was hitting me harder every morning. And that morning, I had took my towel, my toothbrush, and paste, and I was going down the steps. And when I was going down the steps, I was about halfway down, and he was coming up the steps. And he elbowed me right in the ribs, and hard. And I throwed the stuff down I had in my hand, and I elbowed him back. And I run down to the bottom of the steps, and at the bottom of the steps there was a tree. And when I just stepped in the door, here he come running right down behind me. And when he come in that door, I nailed him right side of the head. And he fell on a thing you wash your hands in, and it had a knob on there with 4 little balls, stainless steel balls.
Yeah.
And he fell and hit his jaw on that stainless steel bar, and he put a big gash in his jaw. He was bleeding. Well, he had to go to the dispensary. And later on, when we had reveille, after we had roll call, the lieutenant said, "Ship, Burns, fall out." I said, "Oh Lord, I know I'm in trouble now."
Yeah.
So we fell out. He took us to his office. He said, "You know what? We got you here to train you to fight, to kill the enemy, not to kill each other." And he turned to me and he said, what started that fight?" And I told him that I was coming up steps, and he elbowed me, and I elbowed him back, and I run down to the bottom of the steps, and when he come there running down behind me, I hit him, and he fell on that seat and busted a hole in his jaw.
Mhm.
So he asked me, he said, well, did you do anything to provoke him for him to elbow you?
Mhm.
I said, no, I didn't do nothing, but I did confront him for a couple of 3 boys that he was getting to clean the tree all the time.
Mhm.
And he asked the boy, first he asked him, he elbowed me? And the boy told the truth. He said, yes, I did.
Mhm.
And then he asked him, did he get them 3 boys to clean the tree for 2 weeks and not give them no break?
Mhm.
He told the truth again. He said, yeah.
Yeah.
And then uh, after he had asked me a bunch of questions, well, he let us go.
Mhm.
And he went around, and all the questions that he asked me,
Mhm.
everybody in the platoon backed me up, said it was the truth.
Yeah.
So he gave him 14, he broke him, got another guy to wake us up for reveille, and he told the other boy that we got 14 hours of labor, hard labor. So in that hard labor, we had to go in the kitchen and had 2 big ranges, and we had to take steel wool and get all that grease off the warm stove. And the first night we been over there, when we was, sweat was pouring down our face, and he would look at me, and if looks could have killed me, I'd have been a dead somebody.
Yeah.
And that was starting the 3rd week, and he never spoke to me all that time. He passed me. Whenever he passed me, we was out on the range shooting, and he'd turn his head. He wouldn't never look at me. And the 13th week, he went to church and I went to church too. He did go to church. And he sat on one side and I sat on the other side. But the 13th morning, he come up the steps and he had a cake in his hand. And he said, my mama sent me a cake for Christmas. You want a slice? I said, he's going to poison me. For the whole time he was undoing that cake,
Yeah.
I had in my mind, he's going to poison me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be rude. And I said, well, I had just come from church and I was laid on the bed and I was going to go eat chow. I said, I appreciate it. So he undid it and cut 2 slices. He started, but he eat about 3 or 4 big bites, and I wouldn't touch mine until I saw him swallow them. And I said, well, if his mama surely wouldn't poison it.
Yeah.
So I eat that piece of cake, and then later on, Mama, she sent me some oranges and apples, and I shared the orange and apples with him. And the very next week is when that mine blew up and put my eye out, and my eye was hemorrhaging, and all the skin and hair and stuff was off my legs.
Right.
And when I went to the hospital, he was the first one to come see me.
Oh man.
And then they all left. It was 48 men. 2 guys got hurt that same time, me and another guy. And all the whole 48 men went to Korea. And when I was coming home from Alaska, I saw Milborn on the plane, and I asked him, I said, how is Ben Burns doing? He said, well, you know, he got killed right off the first month that we was over there. And he said the whole 48 men that went over there, it was only 2 men that lived, and that was him and a guy from Kentucky, Holland, Kentucky.
Wow.
And he had scars, you know, bad scars on his arm and face where handlebars had been off.
Wow.
And I thought about that. I said, well, you know what, if that mine wouldn't have blew up, Most likely I'd have been killed too.
Mhm. Was that before you had your kids?
Huh?
Was that before you had your kids?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So you wouldn't have had your kids and all your grandkids and all
that. No, I would. Well, if I'd have went to the career, I'd have probably been killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and most likely, only two of them lived over to 48.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So.
Yeah.
So I thought I was lucky on that.
Oh yeah, we're thankful about that. That's crazy. Do you have any advice for us as parents?
Well, yeah, be a good Christian, and your number one priority if you're a young couple that got kids should be to teach your kids about Jesus.
Yeah, and keep them, taking them to church and Sunday school and all that, and reading the Bible with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and one last question. It's real easy. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color?
Yeah. That's the hardest one yet.
I got to think a minute. Red.
Red? Is there anything how do you want people to remember you?
Huh?
How do you want people to remember you? How do you want people to remember you?
I want you to remember me.
Yeah, but how? Like hard worker? What do you think are the most important things?
Your legacy.
Your legacy, about when you think about your legacy.
Well, being a Christian.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the most important thing.
Yeah.
Most all parents, if they are Christian, they want to go to heaven, and they would want their children, and I would want you to remember me, that I remember that I want them to go to heaven and have my children and grandchildren to go to heaven too.
Yeah. And we'll always see each other again one day. All right. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for doing that. We're all done. Thank you for doing that for me.